Parrots are almost 100% of their diet is from fishing. They like to hang around here because we do have a lot of fishing here.
Just to do what I said.
This is a little, walk where the call, but it's a little dock. You're welcome to, everywhere I've driven, you're all welcome to come out and walk and get a closer look at things if you might have missed something. I've walked out here a number of times and seen the antennas swimming around in there. Also the other hares. We have about 10 different kinds of hares out here. Kind of interesting. But here's this is another example of cypress. Cypress is a native American tree of Florida.
And ours.
They developed a way to live in this mucky soil here. Check it out. How did they do that? See, most trees would fall over in this soft, wet soil here. But see what these things are? You ever wonder what these things were sticking out of the ground? If you take a close look at them, they look a lot like an old man's knees sticking out of the ground, which is why they call them cypress knees. And that's how they were able to survive in here. They're attached to the root system, and they're like stakes. They go down as well as up and anchor that tree in place. And also provide a little oxygen for the roots when the water gets high.
Look at that.
So that's how the cypress survive hurricanes and things like that. Most native trees do good in hurricanes. Most of the trees we lost were they were exotic trees. But here's the Everglades palm, another native tree here. And what's interesting about these guys is they grow in these clusters, making nice nesting areas for small mammals like rabbits and raccoons and squirrels and stuff. It actually helps protect them as well, because notice the fronds in here with the thorns and everything. Well, in the Everglades, these Everglades palms get very dense. It's almost an impenetrable fort. So the small mammals will burrow in there and feel safe at night. And that kind of protects them from most predators like the bobcats, the coyotes, and foxes. You know what doesn't protect them against those? It's an exotic invasive species, the Burmese python. And now you know why it's a problem. Burmese python's a problem. There's no natural protection against them. And they're eating up all the small wildlife out in the Everglades. And you know what? That causes problems. Because what's happening is the coyotes and foxes and other predator mammals, they don't have anything to eat. So they're coming into our neighborhoods. We see a lot of videos of coyotes and bobcats chasing our dogs and cats in our neighborhoods because the pythons eat up all their natural food. So we're trying to fight back on that. You know, the state has these hunts every once in a while to get the big python. They have cameras out there to try to track them as well. In fact, one camera caught an 18-foot female python, laid like 100 eggs. And you see, that's what makes it hard to control. They're laying so many eggs at a time. But nature is fighting back as well. You know, the camera they kept the camera there to keep an eye on it. And a couple of nights later, a bobcat comes along. It digs up the nest. And you know what he did? He ate some of the eggs. And then he returned the next night and ate the eggs. You know, that's what I talk about nature fighting back. You know, the python's eating up all of his normal food that they normally eat. So what the heck? The bobcat's got to eat something. He didn't eat those snake eggs. He just got to watch out that snake doesn't catch him in the act sometimes. Because that's supposed to be one vicious fight. So here's our mango grove, which this replaced a lot of our citrus. And those are just starting to bloom. They started blooming last week. They'll peak in December and January, and then we'll get the fruit sometime in the May to August time frame. And that's why we have those boxes there. Those boxes are filled with bees. I don't know if you look closely, you can see the bees coming and going. We need those bees to help pollinate all of our blossoms, so we have a nice bumper crop. Here's our little succulent garden here, and succulents do include the cacti, but there's other plants that do like limited water, like the baobab you see right there. Look at that fat trunk there. The baobab is native to Madagascar and Africa, and it stores water in that fat trunk. And right now it's dormant. Actually, they go dormant in the winter time, which is kind of the dry time, typically usually in Africa. They can survive long periods of drought because they store water in there.
Butterflies in there.
And it doesn't really like it too well.
They're building it.
Now this is a future butterfly house. It looks like the structure is complete. The next step is to start bringing in host plants with eggs on them. You know, most butterflies do have a preferred host plant. Like the monarch likes the
I see one up there.
Milkweed, the milkweed. In fact, there's a milkweed right there. There's a different kind of milkweed. See with the big green leaves there? That's called the giant milkweed. But the monarch will lay its eggs on there. The zebra longwings, and these look like zebra longwings right here. That's the state butterfly right here. See with the black and yellow stripes there? Those are zebra longwings. That's a passion vine, and that's what it likes to lay its eggs on. Now in this little hut, this is a miniature version of what we're going to have. There's about 7 different species of butterflies there. Well, there's a lot of zebra longwings today. Anyway, in the booth there, you can look up close, you'll see 7 different species of butterflies in there with all the different host plants. We have the whole cycle in there. There's chrysalises in there. All kinds of caterpillars in there. Kind of cool. We do go in there and release the adult butterflies occasionally.
I mean, they are. One's following us. There's one following us.
Here's our cycad garden. Cycad is a unique species of plant. It's not part of the palm family. A lot of people get confused. Cycads are actually older than the palm, dating back to the dinosaur age. But there's hundreds of varieties of each, and that's what makes it a little bit hard to tell apart because they do like the same kind of climate. They look very similar. But these are 2 palms right here on my right with the hair. I don't know, looks like they forgot to shave. The old man palm.
Where?
They produce fruit. They produce dates. You know, palms produce dates, coconuts, other kinds of fruit, and that's how they propagate. Cycads produce cones. If you take a look to the left, that plant there looks a lot like a palm tree, but that's a cycad. I can tell because it's got that cone on there. And here's another example of a cone on my right on the passenger side. See this huge cone hanging down on the passenger side hanging down? That's how the cycad reproduces. Like a pine tree produces cones where the seeds are, the cycad produces cones that have the seeds. And those cones actually ripen, they'll turn like a red or yellow or orange, and the seeds will separate out, and that's how you propagate cycads. Now here's another mitigation pond here. We have all kinds of exotic and native species of plants planted all around it. One interesting exotic species is over here on the right on the passenger side on a little floating island. There's a plant that loves a wet soil. The papyrus. See those stalks coming up with a little pom-pom on the end? That's the papyrus plant.
No,
They're native to Egypt. In fact, the Egyptians made the papyrus famous. I'm sure you've heard of it. Because they used to harvest the papyrus from the banks of the Nile. And they would pound out the stalks, make it the fiber to make parchment paper.
You'll become very fat.
Now we're going to make a right turn here. Going to go on to another big hammock. In fact, it's our tallest hammock.
Hammock?
Not Flamingo, we call it. But on the way, here's another exotic plant here. This is native to Colombia. Can you guess what it is? See, look at near the top there. You see, look, those little berries at the top of that plant there on the left? Those are coffee beans. That's the Arabica plant. You've heard of the Arabica, right? 100% Colombian coffee with pure Arabica beans. Well, it turns out the Arabica does well in South Florida, too, as well as California. In fact, California has already announced plans to get into the coffee business. So pretty soon we're going to be seeing commercials for Californian coffee with 100% Arabica beans. Check it out. Here's the peak of Mount Flamingo. The second highest point in Broward County right there. The highest point is not too far from here, Treetops Park. Now this is a natural hammock, we know, because it's got these old trees on it. Some of these things are over 100 years old. And with that Spanish moss coming down to make it look even older and spookier. But did you ever wonder where Spanish moss got its name? I mean, you know it's not Spanish, right? That's native to Florida. Been here for hundreds of years. In fact, the Spanish discovered it 500 years ago. The way they discovered it, they grabbed it out of one of these oak trees and said, "Oh, what the heck is this stuff? It looks like French hay."